What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to RK Motorsports. If you don't already know, I'm Rob, and today I'm going to be doing what could possibly be my quickest and most profitable rebuild to date. Now, I have a ton of projects that I'm currently working on. I'm working on a buddy's bike. I've got the scoot ski I'm working on. I've got the remnants of the CBR 600 that I'm rebuilding. I've got my bike, I've got another bike. And if the intro didn't kind of give a clue with that Yamaha blue and silver sign behind me and the blue Yamaha right there, that's the one that we're gonna be working on today. So tucked all the way back here behind all these bikes and all these bike parts is our 2006 Yamaha R6S. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of clear some of this stuff out, make a path, and bring that bike over here so we can take a better look at it and start stripping it down and getting this thing rebuilt. All right, so I've got the bikes kind of switched around a little bit. As you can see by the cardboard I have chilling underneath the bike, we have an oil drip right here. And as I was moving the bike around, you can see how substantial that oil drip is. We have a nice big oil little puddle right there. There's another one from here just before I turned the bike around and re-maneuvered it. And already just from it sitting here, it's dripping that much right there. You actually just saw another drip right there. So, some of the damage, main damage to this bike, you can see there's the dent in the side, big dent in the tank right there. We've got some scrapes, some scuffing on the side plastic here, a little bit of damage to there, a little bit there. We've got this side plastic here, it's all scraped up, down here also. And we've got that crack. There is actually a crack in the oil pan right here. You can see where it's kind of dripping right there. There's a crack right in the bottom, so that's where it's all dripping out of. Still dripping pretty good. Got a little bit of a scuff on the back here, and you know, a little bit on the headlight housing there, but I mean, really the bike isn't in too bad of shape. And I actually just messed up. I didn't mean to call this the oil pan. This is the stator cover. So before anybody ridicules me on that, this is the stator cover, not the oil pan. So a question that I get asked a lot is, how did the damage get sustained to these bikes? Now actually, the person that I bought this off of was the owner of the bike that crashed it at the time. He was actually pulling into a garage at his buddy's shop, I guess. And just as he was pulling into the parking lot, there was a lady in a car behind him actually clipped the rear end of his bike. So like, he was turning and she like clipped the back of his bike, and that caused the bike to like tip over, slam into the ground. So that's where that dent came from. And obviously, you know, that's what caused the damage to the side over here and what cracked that stator cover. He is fine. I think he had some bruising and, you know, I think his foot got messed up a little bit, but he's doing good now. And if I can, I'll see if I can put the footage of the bike crash into this video. He actually had a security camera from his buddy's repair shop that showed the accident that got it on camera. So if I can find that and I can get a hold of that, I'll put that in the video. But yeah, so he's doing good now. And he just kind of wanted to get rid of the bike. So he just kind of wanted to cut his losses and just sell the bike outright. So that's where I came in. And he actually ended up selling this bike to me for $600, which is a really good deal in my opinion. Now I'm gonna walk you guys basically from start to finish in this video of how I work through things when I'm repairing a damaged bike. So I already kind of went over the damage with you guys. Another thing that I noticed is the front tire has a little bit of dry rot in it. So I do have another front tire on hand that I'm gonna have to swap over. So that's another thing I have to do. But usually the first thing is after I buy the bike, I really go over it thoroughly, check the damage. Next thing I do is I go online and order the parts I need. So I actually have all of the replacement parts ordered already. That is over here. And another thing that I needed for this bike was a set of fairings, and the big thing was gonna be a gas tank. So a buddy hooked me up with a complete set of silver fairings and an OEM gas tank. These fairings are mint. I have them in the other room right now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm basically just gonna take the tank and the fairings off, throw the new tank, the new fairings on, and this thing is gonna look brand new. And I also kind of just go over the whole bike, kind of just see how the basic maintenance is, you know, check fluids, see how that is, make sure the brakes have You know, brakes are working, lights are working, make sure the brake pads are good. And you know, this rear tire is actually pretty much brand new too, so that's really nice. That's gonna save us a little bit of money on turning this thing around too. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to strip these parts off the bike, and we're gonna start moving forward with trying to flip this thing around as quick as we can. So it is just about 8 o'clock right now. It's a little after 8, but I started recording a little while ago, so we'll call it 8 o'clock on the dot. And with that, let's start stripping this thing down and see how quick we can turn this around. All right, guys, so this is what we're working with now. We've got all the plastics. We've got the tank, the tail off the bike. There's the tank. There's all the plastics right there. Now, this only took me about an hour to do all of that to get the bike completely stripped down like that. See, we got a little over an hour it took us to do that. So it's a little after 9:15 right now. But what we're gonna do next is I'm going to address the stator cover. I'm gonna get that old one off. We're gonna swap over the new case, and we're gonna throw the gasket on there too. And another thing I noticed is there's no motor mount bolt in that right there. Now I did notice that before I took the fairings off, so I do have the correct motor mount bolt. We're gonna throw that in there. And I noticed the one over here is sticking out a little bit, so I'm not sure what that's all about. So I'm gonna try and see if I can tighten that up and put that in there so we're nice and flush. And there was a couple other things I noticed. This little bolt right here, this snapped off, it looks like from the accident, and it looks like it snapped off inside the frame, so I just gotta work on getting that little stud of the bolt out of there. Now these are aluminum bolts, like an aluminum bolt set. These blue bolts, I'm not a big fan of these. These look cool, I guess, but because they're aluminum, they are very, very brittle. They are nowhere near as strong as the original bolts that come with the bike. So I would not suggest to buy these aftermarket aluminum bolts just because they strip so easily. And I think I saw a couple fairing bolts that, you know, just screwed into the fairings where they broke off too. So these are very brittle. 10 out of 10 would not recommend these bolts. One other thing I noticed after stripping everything off is there's this like green wire all over the place. I wasn't sure exactly what this is for when I first took everything off, but it looks like, oh my God, this is, you know what this is? This is like trim line from a weed whacker is what this is. I thought it was like green wire, but there's no metal inside. This is weed whacker line. Guys, please do not do this if you're working on bikes. Do not try and hack stuff together like this. Do not use weed whacker line for a bike. So I think what they were trying to do is they were using this all tied up to support the undertail so that it wouldn't fall out of the rear subframe. So there's plenty of mounting points for this. I mean, there's a bracket here where we can bolt the plastic up to right there. So I mean, we can mount it there, and there's a couple of spots on the sides where this bolts in. So I'm gonna get rid of this. There's no need for this in the bike. This is just very uncalled for. So I'm gonna strip that out, and then we're gonna secure it the right way. Dropped it in the oil. No. Pro tip, don't drop your bolts in the oil. Thankfully, I've got my little magnet for instances like this. Ugh, so nasty. So nasty. There we go. You can see that crack right on the bottom there. That's where that crack was, and that's where all that oil was leaking out. So now I'm gonna take these bolts off of the stator, we're gonna pop that out, and then we're gonna put our new case on. So here's our little box of new parts for the bike. Let's see what we got in here. Right there's our new gasket for the stator cover. Right in here should be our new stator case cover. And that would be correct. Right there. Ooh, that is nice. Nice and new. Look at that. So we'll throw that on there. And this is our side plastic piece, the one that was all rashed up. This is going to replace that. All right, so we got that new stator cover on there with that new gasket, so that's all sealed up. We are good to go with that. We are just about a little over 2 hours into this so far. I think I overestimated how long this was gonna take. This really shouldn't be too much longer. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna get the fairings from the other side of the garage, and I'm gonna take those out of the box and we can start slapping those fairings on. I also have to get the motor mount bolt on, and then I have to take out that bolt right there. So it is about 10 o'clock right now. We're gonna jump back into things tomorrow. And actually we just jumped forward to the next day. Look at that, 7 o'clock the next day. You guys didn't even notice. So it is day 2 of this build. Currently we've got about 2.5 hours of labor into this bike so far. So like I said, next I'm gonna address these bolt issues, and there's also the bolt sticking out on this other side. So I'm gonna see if I can get those situated next. Now I was actually looking at this bolt that's on the right side of the bike, and this motor mount bolt looks like it's sticking out. I thought I was going to be able to like tighten it up to go in all the way, but it looks like it's bottoming out. So what I think might have happened is this might have been like the bolt for a frame slider. So I'll pop this out. And I think this is just a lot longer than we need it to be. So I'm gonna take this to a hardware store and I'm gonna see if I can match up with a shorter bolt and one that'll work with this motor mount right here. So this is the first time that I've actually had the fairings out of the box since I got these. Now these are in really good condition. This is an OEM set of fairings. I even got the gas tank too, which is in very good shape. Only a few minor nicks and scrapes here and there, nothing really that serious. So this is an awesome buy. Actually, I didn't even buy it. I actually got this set of fairings for free. I did my buddy a favor and he gave me the set of fairings. So, you know, one hand washes the other, and I'm gonna put these to use. These are gonna come in very handy for this build. Now these are, I believe these were painted. These are painted OEM fairings. I don't think this was the original color, but you know, these are still in really good shape. And we've got the headlight in there too. We've got the tail light under there with the tail. We've got some extra carbon fiber pieces here as well, which is sick. We've got the tail cover. Also have mirrors with matching paint. So this is an awesome set. We also have some, you know, frame sliders and bar end spools. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to start trying to get some of these parts on the bike. It can literally be the stupidest stuff that makes it the hardest and most time consuming to do a bike. Sometimes it's a broken bolt. Other times like this, it was this friggin' oil filter. I probably just spent a half hour trying to get this thing off. Whoever tightened this thing tightened it way too much. Stuff like that, you never know how long it's gonna take until you encounter it. But thankfully we got that off. Now we can put our new one on and fill it up and do an oil change. This was actually the oil filter wrench that I just took the oil filter off with. And this is the other one that I was using. It's a smaller one. I actually broke it because it was so hard to get that thing off. So I've got that new oil filter in. I've got the bike filled with oil. I currently have the front wheel off. I'm gonna take that front rim and get a new tire installed tomorrow because these tires are dry rotted and these are a little bit old and worn down. So we're gonna get a new tire on there. And after that, then I think we can start installing the fairings after I get that bolt on the side. Also, a little time check. It is 9 o'clock right now, so we spent another 2 hours here tonight working on the bike. So another 2 hours tonight, and we're gonna skip forward to tomorrow now. Man, I love doing that transition. So it is actually Saturday, right at noon. So we're starting the clock at noon, and I actually already went out. This is the bolt, the motor mount bolt for this side. Remember, the other side had one that was too long. So I got a bolt from the hardware store, same thread and pitch. So I'm gonna pop that in there. And I also got the front tire, brand new front tire mounted on the rim, so we can throw that on as soon as we can. And yeah, so I think from there, I'm gonna get those motor mount bolts in and I'm gonna start throwing the fairings on, and then we should be able to wrap this bike up really quick. So I just removed this from the bike. I honestly have no clue what this is. It was hooked up to the positive and negative terminals of the battery, and there was this one line that ran all the way to the front, and it looks like a little light that mounts on top of the gauge cluster. And there was this plug that was like dangling in the front, like near the radiator. It almost looks like a little like audio or like visual plug. I have no clue what this is. And then this one says laser on it. Yeah, if you guys have any clues of what this could be, let me know in the comments, because I have no idea what this is. I don't know if it's maybe like some type of cheap radar detector or something. This one says like visual on it. This one says aux out. I literally have no clue what this could be. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know. But for the meantime, we're just gonna get rid of this. And this is our new side cover that's going to replace this old scratched up one. There we go, brand new. That's good. So I got a couple of these trim pieces back on. I've got the front headlight on, front fender on, gas tank is on now. I actually have to go to dinner, so it's about 3 o'clock right now. We've spent another 3 hours at this. So let's go to dinner, hop back here, and just like that, we are back. This is actually 8:30 in the morning the next day. So I'm gonna start throwing the fairings on. One other thing I noticed is this gauge cluster has a little crack in the clear part, which is kind of annoying. I'm not sure if you can really see it right there. So I actually have this replacement gauge cluster right here. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna swap the gauge over because I wanna maintain the correct mileage. I'm just gonna unscrew the case and take this front cover and put it on there and swap that over. That way we're nice and new. There we go, so the new cover for the gauge cluster's on, and she's looking good. All right, guys, so just about another 2 hours. It's a little over 10:30. We'll call it another 2 hours because I started at 8:30. So we are finished with the bike. It's a little dirty right now. I have to just go through, kind of give it a final detail. You know, the mirrors are still kind of dirty, wheels are dirty. So I'm gonna go through, kind of detail the bike, get it looking nice, take some pictures of it, and then I'm gonna post it for sale. I'm not gonna reveal the final sale price in this video just because obviously the bike hasn't sold yet. So I'm probably gonna do a follow-up video with what the bike sold for and kind of my overall profit for this flip. That's gonna take a little while. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take to sell the bike. So one last thing, I'm gonna fire this thing up so you guys can hear what this bike sounds like. And after that, I'm gonna hold the Patreon giveaway for my Repsol, where is it? My Repsol fairing right here. So we are gonna give that away after I fire this bike up. All right, let's fire this thing up for you guys. So if any of you were wondering what kind of exhaust this is a Voodoo exhaust. This is basically just like straight piping the bike. It's super loud, super obnoxious, but it does sound pretty good. So now that I was able to get that fired up, I kind of want to go over some totals with you guys. Basically what I have into this bike with rebuilding it. That is the number of hours that I have rebuilding this bike from, you know, with those old plastics, with the dented tank to how it is right now. And the totals for the parts, I have the stator cover that I had to replace. That was $63.40. Side plastic cover, which was this guy right here. That's the stator cover right there. That was $27.56 for that side plastic cover. The gasket for the stator cover was $8.59. Motor mount bolt, that was OEM, that was $10.53. That was kind of expensive. That other one I got from the hardware store that was on the other side, that was about like $3. Tax, shipping, which nobody likes, brings our total for parts to $138.03. Again, I'm going to stress that I did not pay anything for these fairings and the tank. I helped somebody out and they gave me the fairings for free, so that is a freebie, and I am not including that into the price. Oil filter and change, I think I have to include that. That was about, $50. I used Mobil 1 Racing 4T with a high flow oil filter, so that's like another $50. So it'd be like $188 total in parts and materials. And the purchase price of the bike was $600, so that brings our total to $788. One other thing I forgot to mention on the parts list is the front tire. I actually had this front tire kicking around in my shop. I got this tire for free from a buddy, and it was $20 to get this mounted. So add 20 to our overall total, and that brings it to, I believe, $808 for this bike. And so that's basically what I have into the bike right now. Now, I'm going to do the Patreon giveaway, kind of similar to how I did last time, so let's do that right now. All right, guys, so it is time for the Patreon giveaway. Again, this is for the side fairing from the CBR 1000 Repsol build. Now, I'm going to be doing things a little differently. This time, I'm going to put the number of entries for each person for the amount that they pledge on Patreon each month. So if you pledge $1, you're going to get 1 entry. If you pledge $20, you can get up to 20 entries. So those are the numbers for everybody. Now I'm going to open up Google Random Number Generator right here. Now we have minimum of 1, maximum of 168. And here we go. Let's find who the winner is. 121. All right, so who is 121? We've got, looks like Jalen D. There you go. All right, man. So I'm gonna be sending you the CBR 1000 Repsol fairing and some other goodies, and so I'll be shipping that out to you, and you can get that shortly. All right, guys. So just like that, that is gonna wrap up today's video. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a little different than I normally do with the bike, the whole rebuild. This was kind of a quicker rebuild, all in one shot. So I hope you guys like this. Plus with the price breakdown, and again, huge shout out to Jalen, the winner of the Patreon giveaway. I'm going to be shipping that out to you. So be sure to look for that in the mail very soon. And if you guys want to get in on some of these giveaways, be sure to check me out on Patreon and support me there, support this channel. Again, thank you to everybody for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks. Peace.